So is Trump all up in there, or what? The deal is signed in blood. He's the fight leader of the
So,
future.
you talk, you talking to me?
Is
You
it
talking to
locked
me?
and loaded? Is it locked and loaded?
Are you talking to me, Gia? Are you
I might
talking
have
to
seen.
me?
I might have tried to rile you up. I might have seen if I
Oh,
get you
fucking
on
hell,
mute, right?
dude. Dude. Yo, did you see Elon Musk throwing his heart to everybody?
No, throwing his
They're,
what?
try- they're trying to say that he was like doing the Heil Hitler,
Oh,
Elon Musk, and what do you call it? It's the new lefty thing. And they're because he was on the speech and he literally was like, I love you all so much. And he was like grabbing his heart and like throwing it to the audience, but it totally looks like the fucking, it totally looks horrible. It looks like it's the worst optics in the world in a certain sense, but it's also kind of fucking hilarious. You know what I mean? It's just, the show is just like popcorn, fucking feeding popcorn, man. Did you see Trump sign like 100 executive orders sitting at the bench, sitting at his desk? Yeah, he
already?
pardoned. Yeah, he pardoned all the January 6th protesters. They're all getting out of jail like tonight.
Really?
Yep, 1,500 of them.
Except 6 of them.
Is that right? Yeah, I heard something. There's like a couple cases they're gonna look over or some shit. I guess,
Yeah.
but who knows? They're probably maybe some people did some fucked up shit. You know, who knows? But how
That's
dope is that fucking sign, dude? 1,500 people out of jail like tonight, bro. How fucking hardcore is that?
I didn't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
look too much
Yep.
into that, but I did see some really dodgy stuff about that Issa. I don't know. It just looked the whole thing looked like a psychological operation to me.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, bro. Don't be mad
Yeah,
about it.
I'm just saying. I don't know. It just seemed a bit weird to me. Like they
We're
weren't trying to stop anything. It looked like they were guiding them to where they should be. Like places,
Oh,
people.
oh, January
They're
6th.
definitely
Oh,
guiding.
Yeah,
January.
yeah.
No. Do you know who Ray Epps is, bro?
No.
Okay, so yeah, it's all good, man. Like Ray Epps is like an FBI informant that was in the crowd that was totally exposed, and they tried to
Ah,
hide it. It's like everybody knows, dude. Ashley Babbitt, who's the Air Force girl, fucking got shot in the head by one of the fucking security guards at the entrance. Like it's such a fucked up thing what they did, and I cannot be more. I mean, America is just fucking overjoyed. Every real American is overjoyed right now and had enough of fucking catering to any of the bullshit. He got rid of all the DEI shit in government, all the fucking
Yep.
put it up, men and women. There's only two fucking genders. You know what I mean? And everything else all that shit needs to go fucking die. It needs to be made fun of,
yeah.
called retarded and gay on Facebook because we're allowed to. It's
Took us out of the who?
Out of the what?
Who?
Oh yeah,
World Health
did he
Organization?
do that already? Did he do it already?
Yep. He signed
No
his
way.
second. Yep, already did. He signed his second order
Yes.
to get it.
See, I love. This is the thing. I love Issa's optimism for all this stuff, and I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on you or anything like that. I just don't believe any of it. And not only that, I think that a lot of the things you just mentioned there, they seem like psychological operations to me anyway. Regardless of people's reactions to, because people, monkey see, monkey do. They do these weird. Just forget that. I'm just saying. Even there was a clip of our so-called prime minister. I can't even remember the name. I don't really follow it, to be honest. But I saw a clip of him like going, not this one, Keir Starmer, as the one before. Was he an Indian? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, he was saying like, there's only two genders or something like that, and I just thought, how dumb is this? How dumb? You know what I
No, I
mean?
know, but but brother, you could look at it like in one sense, you could look at it like a triple Jew bluff, which I get it, and I'm savvy to
Yeah,
it. The other side of it
right.
is that it's not George Bush and John Kerry. The other side of it is that they're taking fluoride out of the water. They're
That's
fucking gonna
great.
get rid of. They're gonna get rid of capital gains tax. They're gonna fucking get rid of all the dyes and shit they put in our food. It's like, dude, this is like literally the only time I ever once I got hip
What
to
about
what Trump was about.
Monsanto? What about Monsanto?
What about him? What about him?
What about him?
I'm sure
Oh,
they're in.
Down
All
with
right, just keep
Monsanto.
going. Sorry.
Yeah,
Down
no.
with
I'm saying, dude,
Monsanto.
how about this? Monsanto is a reference to like glyphosate and fucking all the shit that's killing people in the crops, and that I think
Yeah.
will be addressed too. And I'm just saying, like, how cool that This is the first time, and call me a victim of fucking psychological, whatever the fuck you want. But I don't give a fuck because they're getting rid of a lot of shit that means a lot more to me than fucking like, because like people's opinion about flat Earth and a bunch of other shit. Like it's shit that, like if fucking, if like, if schools aren't going to mandate vaccines for children, that's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? This is what I want. I don't care about if the fucking, I don't care. As long as you don't fucking tell me I can't do it. And the only people that have been telling me I can't be a flat earther, that I'm an anti-vaxxer and I'm evil, are people that want to force their beliefs on me. And there's two sides to this. One side's trying to force their shit on you. The other side's saying, hey, we might not agree with you, but yeah, you're allowed to exist. You're an American. Fuck yeah, you're my brother. And that's American shit. And anything outside of that, I don't know, man. I just don't know. We really are that fucking far gone that there's either people who believe in this debate. I've argued this before. There's like not even the only two sides to this debate, not globe earth, not fucking whatever, is people that want to have the conversation, and then there's people that want to shut it the fuck down. And the people that want to allow these conversations to happen, this is like flat earth is the most American shit forever. And I've always been saying that. I've always wrapped my flat earth in my flag because it's the freedom of speech that gives me the right to be a flat earther. It's the freedom of religion that allows me to buck the whole fucking system. Nobody can force me to believe that under this system. I don't care if they make fucking AI robots that you can plug your brain into, as long as they're not making me do it. Because there's some people that really are like, I want to plug my brain into it. It's like, go for it. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I completely, I agree with everything you said, Issa. There, it's just that, like I said, I was watching a guy. He's supposed to be the prime minister, or I don't know. It was just a little clip. I think it was on Twitter or something like that. And it's just the way he's made this huge declaration like there's only two genders, and to me, I can just hear uh, everybody going, yeah, and it's like, what the fuck are we even doing? Don't you think that they put these things forward so we don't talk about things like the medical system or State Street, BlackRock,
Well, I think
Vanguard?
actually that's why flat
So
earth
many
was a part of
problems that were real problems, genuine problems.
right, and our retaliation to all the shit has like take like flat Earth. What's so dope about flat Earth is it's held down the fringes, and what it's done is it's come and made people argue about the fucking sunset on end forever. These bunch of fucking retards that want to fight us about it, and and respect to some of them, but at the same time, like they want to fight about it. And what's been slipping in underneath flat Earth and through the sieve of flat Earth is Operation Northwoods. Fucking Fauci getting I mean, all the good shit. 9/11 was an inside job. All that, as long as that shit's getting taken care of, I'm fucking cool, man. I'm happy as fuck. And I think like it's like it's like I was over in Gem Server and they're like, ha ha ha, Trump said he's gonna put a flag on Mars. It's like, good. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Banned.
Did you say I'm banned?
Banned.
Designated cartels and other organizations as foreign terrorist organizations, and especially designated global terrorists.
Dude, imagine like our special ops going after these people. Like these people, man, that's crazy.
Trump said he supports red flag laws. Gun Grabbert Gabbard also does too. The
Well,
right is
that'll
the
have to
new
be addressed.
left. It's
I
okay.
don't
It's
know.
okay if I speak. It'll be all right. So yeah, I just wanted to say that the new right is the old left. They pushed the Overton window so far to the left that we can't even perceive these leftists that are in charge as leftists. They look right compared to some of the freakazoid communists that are in charge. Well, not anymore, but were in charge a few moments ago.
Yo, what do you think about Trump making it so that all concealed carry people can travel with their guns, and the laws have to reciprocate each state.
Well, yeah, they were talking about that when they made homosexual marriage a legal thing, not lawful, but legal. So, yeah, what did it take them, like 10 years to catch up to the Overton window when the pendulum swung so far to the left? They said, yeah, if we're going to accept marriage license from every state, then we should also accept, like, concealed carry license. What took them, like 10 years? How long ago they passed gay
How about this? How
marriage?
about this? It took Donald Trump. How about that? It took Donald Trump to do it.
Why didn't he do it his first term?
Because people would have fucking strung him out for it. Now he's got every right to do everything that the fucking they want. I mean, I don't know. I think it's poetically lined up, man.
Also said, he was pretty green when he got into office, and now he's pretty fucking experienced. Practically what he said. Also, did you see that the other thing about putting people over fish? So he gave him he signed a thing saying that they have to let the water come down to Southern California.
Oh, that they're not going to worry about the smelt or whatever.
That stupid fish. Yep.
Well, Gavin
The
Newsom
Delta smelt.
rejected the water from Trump first term.
Yeah, it's not up to him anymore. It's a executive order that he has to follow now, and then within 90 days, the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of Interior needs to report to him and tell him what has happened. He signed a secure the border shit too.
That's pretty pro-Israel, though, isn't he?
You know,
Of
I always
course.
when people say that, yeah, I know. Shalom, shalom. Fucking what do you call it? I always think of what do you call it? The Q shit where it says Israel will be last. You know, because it's gonna get exposed that fucking 9/11 was fucking in on Israel. It's gonna get exposed. They're gonna get exposed, I think, and it's gonna be through Trump. You know, especially with the October 7th and all the information that they got on that, and the idea that like they let it happen, and then Netanyahu was allowing, like he was like literally told the IDF to stand down.
Didn't
So,
didn't he have his daughter marry like one of the top guys? Like
yeah, and you know
what's his
who?
name,
Okay,
Jared Kushner or whatever?
yep, and Kushner is nowhere to be found. And
Huh?
Kushner's not part of his cabinet this run. None of it. It's interesting, man.
I think he'll do exactly as he's told. I don't think he makes any decisions, just as Biden wouldn't have made any decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I
Biden
get it.
clearly couldn't tie his own shoelaces, quite clearly. So that's my
Well,
opinion.
my hope from this comes from honestly, and I've talked about it forever, is the idea of the 70 and 3 terms of 70-year contracts. It's the only reason I'm so fucking hopeful because I think the bastards that have been in charge have had the jurisdiction to do what they've done. They no longer have the jurisdiction. Now we're free to put somebody in like Trump that's actually going to fucking do some good for America. That's what I really do. I just think they lost jurisdiction somehow. They can't do what they've been doing. They would never have given it up. They would have never given up the mandates.
Well,
All of it, man.
do you think that the normalized behavior of governance comes from some sort of like statistically appropriate like AI or something? They say, oh, well, we can't push this too much here. We can't push too much there. People will, we need to start doing these things to push people back in line. Like there's some computer somewhere running averages and statistics to see how much people will put up with and what they'll push back with. And like, okay, we're going to have to give in on this. We're going to have to give in on that.
Well, yeah,
Kind of thing.
game theory and shit.
Yeah.
You know about game theory and whatever. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, I'm sure we're all, I'm sure no one is immune to it. But at the same time, like, it's about the moral compass that we maintain. and sticking to what guides that and giving what we agree with, um, the opportunity to exist. And I did not see in these other administrations any way that some of, like, even our positions, like, this is why we all joked about, this is why we did FEMA camp, Flat Earth Music and Arts Festival, because the whole round up your friends and come to FEMA camp. Because the big fear at the time was that they were just going to round everybody up and throw us all into FEMA camps because we're flat earthers. And it almost felt like that back in the day when they were attacking the fuck out of everybody. And those bastards were in control. I just think I mean, you could say it's the lesser of two evils, and I'm just fucking a victim of the totalitarian tiptoe, and I get it. But I'm just saying, I really do think it's one of the first times in history that they don't have jurisdiction to do what they've been trying to do. And if they do have jurisdiction, then their goal and they have their mission is to follow some astrotheological code that says we're coming into the golden era. And it's like the
Well,
golden dawn. It's just so fucking, it's meme magic, dude. It's gorgeous.
Why why would they give
I
up
just want to be.
control just
Sorry,
because
real fast. Sorry, super fast. I just want to be the voice of reason. And Trump said Henry Kissinger was his friend, and any friend of Kissinger, the angel of death, is a friend of mine.
Wait,
Well, I
wait,
think
what?
also
Larry?
he
What
was
did
also,
he?
I think,
What?
Sardonic
Henry?
humor, forgive me.
Sorry, did he say Kissinger was his best friends?
Well,
Yeah, Trump said,
Trump also said Diddy is one of his friends too.
ooh, he nasty.
yeah, I just think,
I,
like, diplomacy does that. It's like you're going to be around a bunch of people. It's diplomacy. I don't know. I'm
I
not
guess I'm
worried about it.
missing like
I'm
why would they give up control just because of some like contracts or something you were saying? I
No,
don't
no, no.
understand.
Yeah, no, well, it's because it's I always think of Pirates of the Caribbean, man. When, like, they're at the table in one of them when they're trying to decide who's going to be the king of the pirates or some shit, and the one guy's like, "Fuck the code," right? Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I
Oh, then
mean, if
okay.
they
Yeah,
have,
so what happens? What happens? What happens when he says "fuck the code"?
oh, I don't remember, but
Oh, okay. No, then
what
I'll tell you. I'll
happens?
tell you. Keith Richards shoots him in his fucking head and says, "No one bucks the code." And so
Well,
all these pirates, these fucking thieves, these criminals or whatever like that, their only allegiance is to the code. And this, like, I think, is the fucking code, man. And they don't have the jurisdiction anymore. As much as they want to, they're seething. But
well,
they
that's the part
can't because, yeah.
I don't
What's
get
up?
that because like if Trump is the one saying fuck the code, right? And
No, no,
I
no,
don't
no, 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 no.
understand.
No, no, I'm saying the code. Okay, the code is dictated, and I don't think we've ever spoken before, man. Um, and I
Yeah, if we
believe
had
me.
just a little bit, yeah,
Okay, forgive me. Are you familiar with what I've taught? And I don't want to bore the fuck out of everyone.
yeah,
But
yeah. I've heard you talk a little bit, yeah.
okay, so there's three terms of 70 years. When those three terms were up, we now have this jubilee, this discharge of debt that has to happen. I think there's a private side to the contracts, and then you have a public play for the audience, for the public. It's the exoteric and the esoteric. But
Right, right.
the esoteric dictates the exoteric. And therefore and these people are still loyal to the code. And the esoteric code states that these contracts are over, there's a new system, and then I think, like, we're given liberty to do what the fuck whatever we were supposed to be as a nation and whatever we got corrupted from. And they're gonna try their hardest to re-corrupt us, renegotiate. I mean, what terrifies me, and I've said this too, is that they're gonna label Trump Hitler, and then like they're gonna treat him like Hitler, and NATO and the rest of these fucking liberal countries are gonna try to invade America. I don't know. That terrifies me. You and, like, the United Nations,
Well,
and
they would
what I
have to
mean.
start with Poland because Poland's way more right wing than Trump. Like, Poland ain't taking no shit from nobody. They're like, we're
Yeah,
going to be monolithic. There's nothing you can do about it. Call us racist. We don't care.
yep, and that's what I think's coming. I mean, like, not even the call us racist. We don't care. It's like the idea that, like, for too long, and it's kind of interesting how people have become seasoned to this, like, this language game that the left has been playing. Like, all they had to do was call you a racist a while back, and then you were like, I'm not a racist. People just laugh that off right now because everyone calls everyone a racist. And so it's like, it's kind of just like people have hardened up in certain ways. I think flat Earth and the rest of this is like some software upgrade for the materialistic mind, or like the mankind's subconscious. You know what I mean? It's like there's like been an upgrade, and people are tougher now. And while flat Earth has been holding it down and keeping these losers busy, all the rest of the information has been sliding right through. 9/11, fucking, Operation Northwoods, you know what I mean? JFK, MLK, you know what I mean? All this shit's been slipping in. And then they're trying to cover it up with aliens. You know what I mean? To be like, oh, what you really don't know is like, disclosure, bro. And like that's where they're like trying to get ahead of the conspiracy movement. The conspiracy movement thinks that's all gay and fake anyway. And it's awesome, dude. We're winning. I don't know.
I just really
I
hope
don't know.
he actually declassifies the JFK and MLK stuff.
Yeah. He said he was gonna do it on stage, like what is it, last night. So hopefully he does,
He's
bro.
he said a lot of stuff last time though. So
Well, he also did. He literally think of how long this dude's
No,
day
but
has
he
been today.
reiterated last night before the inauguration.
Right, that's my point. He definitely made a point that was going to happen. But I'm telling you, that wasn't the first thing on the agenda. He signed like like 100 executive orders. He freed 1,500 January 6th protesters tonight. They're free. That's
I just
fucking
remember
awesome.
the last time he was elected, he was saying pretty much the same stuff. Like, oh, I'm going to release the JFK files. I'm going to do this.
See,
Never really did.
well, I'm on the whole like it's all. I'm even worse than you guys. They're like it's all rigged. I really, I mean, what I mean, I'm on that like I'm such a tard. I'm a Q-tard. That's how hardcore of a tard I am, because I'm looking at
You
it
trust the
like this.
plan?
I mean, I don't know, man. It looks like we're winning, but like I don't know how far it'll go. I just think it's like and I'm not like all invested in the Q shit or like time travel and bullshit like that. I just saying like there's tidbits of that shit that are just like really interesting, and I think like part of that is Israel will be last, and also that this is like a part of some kind of a plan. And if they shot our president in the '60s, I just can't help to think that there was a small group of people that were like, yo, we're going to fucking do something about this. And then here we are today, and fucking RFK is on the ticket. It's just really wild. Like that, like it's just poetically, magically a play or some shit that's like, these people don't have jurisdiction. You were saying they're not going to stick to the code, but I don't think that's not an option.
Doge just posted a progression. There's the U.S. Office of Personal Management, Chief Diversity Officer, Executive Council, no longer exists.
Nice. Hey, dude, are you familiar with Tyler Fisher or whatever his
Oh,
name
did you
is?
also hear? Did you also hear that he executively put Doge as a branch?
Oh, really? I didn't know. There's probably so much happening so fast. I was gonna ask the elbow. Do you know this dude Tyler Fisher or whatever? He's a comedian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You do. Did you see his little bit where he's like talking about how like the Trump's team is like the richest autists fucking group of people. Have you seen that one?
Nah, I have not seen. I haven't
Oh
seen
yeah,
that one.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. You just I would just it's so fucking hilarious. I was dying laughing watching it. I'm gonna find it and send it in the chat. Yeah, dude, I was literally like crying listening to this. I gotta put it in the chat. It's just so fucking brilliant. I love this comedian right now. Ah, like somebody like stream it or something. It's so funny.
Notice how the Republican Party's ran by Democrats and nobody seems to care. Oh, sorry, former Democrats. Right, because the rose is a rose by a different name.
There's only one party in the United States.
That's right, the Federal Reserve Party. You either cut to the Federal Reserve or you don't. And if you don't, you're not getting elected.
I'm just saying, if
Just
RFK
remember,
bans Diet Coke, I'm gonna make January 6th look like a fucking Bible meeting.
I love have you seen that guy he's like the you know, they're doing like it's like the picture of RFK sitting on the plane with like McDonald's. He's like, "Why are you doing this to me?" You know, it's just like the fake. I suck at that one. There's so much fucking funny shit happening in regards to Trump. It's just the best.
He does a good impression. That Jewish guy, he does the best impression of him, but he does a good one too. Is that his name? Ty? Is it? Oh, I don't know his
I
name, but
got
anyway,
that link there. Yeah, dude, everyone should go watch
yeah,
that. It's
he
fucking
he did
hilarious.
he did a great one with the alleged assassination. Don't get me started on that. But the he did a good one on that where he was likening the Secret Service. You remember the lady that dropped a gun and they kicked her shoe all? I don't know. It was just hilarious. The whole thing was a farce.
He's
But
so brilliant, dude. He's
he
brilliant.
did a bit. He did a bit on that where he compared them to the. Was it the I don't know, the breakdancers from Australia? You know, the Olympics or something
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It was so good.
Oh, dude, he's brilliant, man. And they fucking, I guess he got like kicked off of an airlines or something for a joke he made. So he's like really deadly, like on point, like angry, going after these people, like and being funny as hell and brilliant, man. I can't help but to support the guy. I go see
He
him live.
he had a whole lawsuit, didn't he? Because his agency allegedly, again, I don't believe any showbiz. I don't know. I'm just one of those cynical people. I'm like showbiz. Like I give Owen Benjamin a pass just because of the message that he gives, which is a very good message. Which I don't see why anybody would argue with that. But anyway, he had a whole lawsuit because his agency essentially told him that because he's a white dude, he couldn't do certain things. He couldn't appear in, on certain productions and stuff like that. So yeah, he opened a whole lawsuit against his agency, which is interesting.
Yeah. See, I'm always amazed that people fucking, what's his name? Owen Benjamin gets a pass.
That was hilarious.
What is it?
Well,
Isn't that
yeah,
great, bro?
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Is that not fucking dude with Elon Musk with the fuck
No,
you
he does
rising up?
Elon Musk so fucking good, bro.
Oh my god, just jumping around with the rocket going up and the fuck you. That's
Yeah,
so
man,
brilliant.
listen, I want that bitch to be see how you get 24 hours of rocket is going up. Fuck you.
He's just
I'm not
jumping
a
around
fan of
going, awesome. That's so great.
I'm not a fan of Owen Benjamin because he got into a little tiff or a debate with Here's the Deal channel, and instead of like attacking the arguments head on, Owen Benjamin like brought Brian's daughter into it and said something that Brian's daughter said, but never like showed us how he knew that Brian's daughter said that. So I thought that was kind
No,
of weird. Like if you're going to
well, I
debate
think
somebody,
Owen
why would you
Benjamin,
bring their why would you bring their children into it?
yeah, no, he's like one of them little culty bitches. That's what I look at it as. He like has to be in control. You know what I mean? He's like a little fucking egocentric, whatever, and half his shit is retarded. And I kind of feel like they jacked my shit when he started coming out playing the piano. I was like, this nigga. You know, I just fucking, I don't know. I just didn't really, because that was my, thing. I used to fucking make fun of everybody every on the piano. And then he came out and everybody was like, oh my God, he's so brilliant. And I was like, he's like playing fucking, Moonlight Sonata like every other fucking lame hack. And it's just like, I just didn't dig it. I don't know, but
no, I
everyone's like,
get
"Oh
that.
yeah, no," but everyone thinks he's a fucking, he's a conspiracy theorist and da da da. I mean, and he does
Mm.
pop some good shit, but he does have a little culty vibe to him, and something rubs me the wrong way about him. I don't know, I
Yeah,
can't help it.
no, I get that totally. If
I
I
just
ever
don't like.
recommend him,
I just don't
uh,
like, it's like everyone's like, oh, it's like even just saying that everything is skeptic. Like, I don't know if you've ever
mm,
done like art or music or anything like that and like been written up about or done anything like that. And it causes a controversy or it causes an issue, like, and you wind up getting dealt with. And like, or I don't know, like, I've just dealt with real world shit. And it's like when everyone's like, oh, it's fake because, it must be because this guy and that guy, it's just, I don't believe everything's so fake.
yeah, I
After you go in the world and try to do shit and you're effective at the world and you see how easily people talk shit and war, it's like, everything becomes fucking a possibility, like is not so designed and orchestrated as everybody thinks. That's what I realized in life. I don't know.
Wait, did you say fake is a possibility? Is that what you said?
Well, is it a possibility? What do you mean?
I mean, I just used your logic in the other direction.
Well, I mean, yeah, I definitely think like, there's definitely manipulation going on. I'm just saying, like, to say it all is like, where I draw the line. I'm just, because I definitely think it's like there's manipulation happening. There's people that own papers. There's hype. There's all kinds of that. Fucking Barnum and Bailey type shit. But I just don't think it's all, bullshit.
Well, I think Trump is going to make America great again so that we can prosper and have children because we're going to need lots of children to conquer Iran for Israel. And, conquering Iran is going to be like Vietnam times 10
Yeah,
because
but
if
the
you
thing
look at
is,
the
is that
landmass,
I know it gets me though is like Trump didn't start wars. You know what I mean? Like Trump didn't. He's the only president actually that didn't start a fucking war in the last like 30 years.
well, we'll know
You know,
for
like
sure, right?
yeah, I mean, I guess so. But I mean, just like it just I don't know. I just don't think it's going to go that direction. I think there's other means. I mean, no one in Iran wants to go fight America. Like, it's like
Yeah,
that. Do you
but
see what happened with
Iran's
that
not
whole?
running shit, though. Israel
Did
is.
you see that? Okay, did you see that? What happened with that red note thing with TikTok, where like everybody that left TikTok went onto this Chinese app called Red Note
Yeah.
and started. You saw that, and they started talking to all the people from China, and they realized like the Chinese and Americans. This was like one of the first times where they were like translating and everything like that, and like communicating one on one, like random Chinese people with random American people, and like it's just blowing people's minds because everyone's so like being cool with each other and then also like learning about each other's culture. They're not, I just think Trump is the possibility that we're not going to go to war with Iran. We're not. I mean, Biden literally gave armed Iran to be able to go to war with us. This is what we're getting. This is what we're getting away from. And I know everyone's like, oh, but there's a triple do double bluff and fucking all the rest of it. But it doesn't feel like that to me. I don't think that's the case. Call me naive, call me whatever, but I say that because of the jurisdictional element that I brought up earlier. That's why I'm so gung ho on it.
So you
Well,
think
I
it's
mean, I
more
hope
like
you're right. Go ahead,
you
bro.
think it's more like a Squid Game? Like
I don't watch that.
we all signed the contract to play the game, and we can stick with the game, but not everyone's going to make it to the end.
I see the biblical prophecy playing out right in front of my eyes. Nobody seems to be wanting to like stop it.
You're not
It's
even a
just,
biblical dude, but you're looking for that peace plan, aren't you?
it's right there. Like there, what does it? It says something about Israel. Everybody's going to hate Israel. Everybody's going to attack them. You know, every nation, blah blah blah. And that's what I'm seeing. It's just being lined up right in front of me. Thinking,
As,
does anybody want to stop this?
as
That's
in,
all.
as in Trump being like the Antichrist.
No. No. I'm just saying that that's what seems to be being lined up. The you ever watched Adam Green, the destruction of Edom, right? All that stuff, Amalek. You never heard of that, I'm guessing. You need to watch Adam Green a little bit. That's what's being lined up right in front of us, as far as I can see. And yeah, I'd like that not to happen, but I don't know, like moss to a flame. It's just they're doing it, aren't they?
I tell you what though, dude, I look at it like I've been so doom and gloom about politics up until Trump for so long. Even like, dude, like, I used to tell one of my main things was like, it doesn't matter if you vote because U.S. citizens are just, employees of the state. Like I used to make all the arguments against it, against like even the idea of voting, and politics is just two sides of the same coin. Until what, like the ideas that I fucking hold dear, i.e., get the fuck out of get fluoride out of the water, get all this shit. Like this is the first fucking time that a politician is bringing this shit to the table. This is the very first fucking time in our life. It's just that to me is amazing. You know, and like I think that's like, and to a credit, we should all pat ourselves on the backs that we fucking like as people have come to earn. A lead. The people get the leader they deserve, kind of a thing. And we've got a leader who's been talking about these particular issues, which we've been railing against for years. I can't be more happy than fucking to have some of those issues taken care of, addressed, and then never mind like CIA killing JFK coming out. That'd be great.
I used to think JFK was a genuine president, actually how we spoke, a democratic republic, and he was voted in and it's all legit. But now I think Andrew Jackson was probably the last legitimate president.
Well, no, you got to remember, like there was again, it's that outstanding code that was in effect. It's like Lincoln tried to make his own money. They shot him in the head. JFK tried to make his own money. They shot him in the head. They were like, no, 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 you can't do that. And then it's interesting, kind of even the symbology, even if it is a fucking movie and you don't believe it's real or who knows what, that they shot at Trump and missed. The symbology is huge on that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I, 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 I just don't see how anybody could think that were real at all.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like watching WWF,
yeah,
right? Getting involved. Like, yeah, I'm rooting for the Undertaker. He's my guy. Oh, he set up again. He fucking set up one last time.
yeah, that is the best analogy. It really is. Cheering for your team. But yeah, I've said it before. You can't have one person even in that situation with live rounds. As far as I'm concerned, everybody's got to know it's an act. Everybody's got to be in on it. Everybody knows what's going down, right? You can't have just somebody with live ammo in a theater production, essentially.
You see the footage of the woman that everybody like. There's all this analysis done where clearly she knew it was going to happen because she had her cell phone out. She kept looking up at the snipers, and then when it all started happening, she didn't flinch. She just kept her camera focused. Anyways, there's a whole analysis that was done. I was watching part of it, but where like these were like expert like body analysts, like they work for like detective, and they have like all these years experience. The video had like millions of views. It was like this guy that's pretty well known in that field. So it was like being like pretty much expertly analyzed that, and they weren't even really saying that necessarily that it's a whole conspiracy. Like that video wasn't really even saying, or that whole analysis wasn't even really going into like that it was fake per se. They were just pointing out the incredibly bizarre body language of this woman. It was just like clear that she didn't have all the reactions of when somebody's actually in danger. The way people like they duck and cover and they do. It's like she knew that it was going to happen and then she was filming it. So that's pretty interesting.
Well, my thing is like, let's say it's all staged and fake, right? The point is that it's the symbology of that they shot him, they hit him, but they didn't kill him. So if it is all staged, right? I'll go along with this. Then fucking the whole thing is that they're cueing you into the fact that this is actually a president that might actually be someone who's going to try to do something for the people and actually do it versus the two guys before him that tried and got fucking actually killed. You know what I mean? Or at least so the story goes, right? So like it's just really interesting, man. The symbology that he didn't die is huge.
Now I think about it, I just wanted to retract that statement about Andrew Jackson. I don't, there's a world anyway, at least that none of the presidents have actually been legit in what we think because these were incredibly intelligent men, especially back then, and they were influenced by the greatest thinkers that this realm's ever produced. And so, you look at Plato and you look at Aristotle, you look at all these people and what they said. The mob rule. This is a terrible way to, democracy is not a good thing. They always devolve into, you know, well, eventually, I suppose, despotism. But they, I don't think that probably any of them have been legitimate because it's a bunch of Masons that started it, really, mostly, right? I mean, even the average normie knows that. So maybe none of them have been legit.
Well, I mean, look at like the idea, and this is another thing I've talked to for a long time, is the idea of like, you know, like the story about 1812, or like an alternative idea about it is like the Congress came there. So I forget who it was. They came together and they tried to make a bill that no one could hold, uh, be a member of Congress. No one could be a member of Congress without if they held a title of nobility. And fucking after they tried to pass that, England came and burned down the White House. And so the theory behind that, in some element, is because, and they tried to pass this bill that no one could hold a title of nobility and hold office in the Congress. And if you notice today, everyone in Congress is an esquire, technically, or a lawyer. At least that's like this idea. But I think things are, like I said, jurisdictionally going to change because they don't have the authority they had.
I stepped out for a minute. Are you talking about the 13th Amendment, the original 13th Amendment?
No, talking about, well, actually, I don't know. What are you referring to in the original 13th Amendment?
Yeah, the original 13th Amendment, you can't be a lawyer.
Well, the titles of nobility, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the title, if that's, if that be what it's called. But yeah, they tried not to have, the titles of nobility, and England came and burned down the White House. And every member since was been an esquire, or an attorney. Um, which then gets people talking about the bar, and people mistakenly call it the British Accredited Registry or some shit, and it's not the case. It has nothing to do with it. A bar is merely just a barrister, an attorney. When people talk about the bar society, like it's, I don't know, but that's just, it's all fluff. That, but like the idea is that that possibly anyone who's an esquire up, and I think up until now, really, because all of this is being let go. Like we're not beholden to these contracts necessarily anymore.
By the way, I posted that video real quick. Just that one with these like military expert guys claim to be analyzing that footage of the woman at the Trump thing. But that video got like 5 million views. Anyways, just since I mentioned it, I just want to say that's the one I'm talking about. But where do we go from here, Issa? How do we get the country back? Pretty open-ended question.
Forgive me, what was that?
No, I was just saying, where do we go from here? How do we get the country back? With all that being said.
Well, I think the whole thing is not even like we've always had. I think really the only move is learning your rights, learning how to defend learning what your rights are, so you know what to defend. As far as personal, as far as our personal work.
Oh, I found the one where he does the Olympics bit. That's so good. I'm gonna watch this.
Issa, if someone became a judge, do you think they could make a difference that way by actually becoming a judge?
Well, not really. It's funny because I often thought about like going to law school, and because I just love it. I do like enjoy the subject or whatever. But at the same time, like you can't like as an attorney, you're kind of limited. You're just like you're limited as the in some aspects, in a lot of aspects. Um, just as a judge, it's like they're just a judge is only beholden to the code. So even if you're a judge, you're just still bound to the code, and that's what I mean. Like they don't really have that much leeway. You know what I mean? Like becoming a judge wouldn't necessarily. Like actually, it's like saying like we're being a referee in the basketball game help decide the outcome of the game. And like, grantedly, if you were going to be corrupt, it might. But if you're not going to be corrupt, then it's not really. It's a neutral position.
So, do you think a judge could be replaced with an AI if they're so, kind of like
I don't think so because
sturdy?
nope. Only because the thing about judges is they are like psychological, like they read people so well, man, and like I don't think AI has that ability to
Disagree.
understand human nuance. You know what I mean?
Disagree.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I mean, like, there's a great poem or whatever. Once law was sitting on the bench, and mercy came a weeping. Clear out, he cried, disorder wench, nor come before me creeping. Then mercy cried, justice plea, your honor, or whatever. It's this poem basically about how like the only thing that matters is the contract, the law that's on the bench. Everything else, your mercy pleading, your attempt to get justice, your attempt to it's like it's all meaningless in regards and in the face of whatever the contract is. And that goes for both parties, which makes it very entertaining and fun. We just haven't learned to counterclaim. And because we don't know how to counterclaim and we don't know what the rules are, we think the system is against us when in reality the judge isn't fucking just ruling against you, he's ruling on the paperwork in front of him. And we didn't respond, and we're over there like, no, this sucks. This is just stupid. And it's like you didn't throw any numbers on the board, man. And we're over here complaining about the system when we've got a complete opportunity to put numbers on the board, shoot, win the game. It's really like, that's how I look at it. And we're over here complaining about it and like upset about the system, but really it's the only system that really gives man the freedom to do it, to fight back, to get a day in court, to prove the other party wrong, to create a contract they can't buck. It's interesting as hell, man.
Yeah, if I could get in uninterrupted just for a few seconds. I think Issa's right about certain things, especially about educating yourself. But what no lawyer or anyone's going to tell you is the first court you end up in is an Article 1 court created by Congress. So this Article 1 court created by Congress, guess what? They don't have to follow the Constitution. So most poor people end up in this first court and they spend all their money on this lawyer, and guess what? The lawyer's not going to tell them that they're in a commercial court. So they spend like $10,000, $30,000 on this lawyer, and he's just like, yeah, take a plea deal. But he's not going to object in a timely manner when he needs to, when there's an outright controversial issue based on the constitutionality of what's going on in that court. He's going to be like, oh, just wait, we'll have our turn in a minute. It'll be fine. Just wait, right? And then by the time that this moment is passed, by the time you go to the appellate court, you're completely broke and all out of money. And the appellate court, which is the actual, because there's separation of powers, right? Article 1 is Congress. Article 3 is the judicial system, the actual judicial system created by the Constitution, was a co-equal part of government. So by the time you get to that court, you've already spent all your money and didn't object in a timely manner at the right time. So they're just going to steamroll you if you don't know what you're doing. That's it.
Well, I've always been fascinated with the corpus juris secundum that says that anyone who gets an attorney is considered a mental incompetent and a ward of the state. That's a fact.
Yeah, but everyone's incompetent in court, just about.
Right.
What is it? The federal courts, they win like 98.2% of the time.
Hey, yo, and what's the Bible say about it? Bible says my
Agree
people.
with your adversary quickly on the way to the
Well,
court.
right, but it also the Bible says my people suffer for lack of knowledge. You know what I mean? Like it's not, and the knowledge is available, and this is where the parents are at fault. We can start playing the blame game, but we're the only generation that has literally the Library of Alexandria at our fingertips. So we can't complain. We just have to study.
Well,
And
I'm not
especially,
complaining. I'm just trying to enlighten everybody that these kangaroo courts are created by Congress and it's all commercial. And people think that they're in like a legitimate court when really it's the second court that actually matters. The first
well,
court is
the
literally like not playing by the rules. And that's why you have an appellate court to actually
well,
enforce the constitutionality of everything.
well. Let me ask you a question, Hank. What does the appellate court rule on? Do you know?
The constitutionality of the first court.
Well, hold on. What do you mean by constitutionality? There's a
So
specific term.
anytime you start dealing with cops, you're starting court right there. So you might as well whip out your phone and start with a recording. If they are arresting you, you might want to bring up constitutionality. Like, do you have a warrant for my arrest? May I see the warrant signed by a judge? And if they say no, all we have is probable cause. Well, that's starting the court right there from the very beginning. Like,
Right,
oh, you
right.
don't have a warrant?
But technically, I'm curious. Like, do you know what the? Oh my God. So
Like,
like,
is
yeah,
the
like
officer the injured
appellate.
party? Are you the injured
No,
party
no, no.
officer?
Right, right. But I'm talking about specifically for appellate courts because a lot of people don't know this, and this is the problem. Like
Well, go ahead.
appellate courts and are only about the procedure, not about the substance. So the appellate court, you can only bring up an appellate hearing or get an appellate hearing if you have a procedural defect. That's why, like, you're kind of bringing up the right shit because I just want to explain why. Because if those certain criteria of your constitutional rights weren't met in some procedural defect, that's where that would be exposed, is the appellate court. And that's where you could get a case reversed, etc. But you're right. Technically, if the first court is when you're on the side of the road with the cop, if that's the case, and the appellate court is actually the hearing with the judge, which is wild if you think of it like that.
That's
But
exactly
the
how I
only
think
thing,
of it.
yeah, yeah, and the only thing you're going to be able to bring up is the procedural defect of the officer who maybe made a shows in action for failing to state a claim upon which relief may be granted or whatever, which way you're going with it.
I mean, don't get me
Right.
wrong. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I haven't even really been arrested as an adult other than traffic violations. So I have not been in court, and I do not have any kind of expertise on any of this stuff. Ask your lawyer if bending over and signing a plea deal is right for you.
Yeah, yo, Larry, it's been a while. We should talk sometime. I won a cool case, a criminal case against myself. It was pretty
I've
interesting.
wanted to talk to you about this stuff for a long time, but you never meet me halfway, bro.
I know I'm the worst. But yeah, dude, I had an issue, and it was just I learned so much about the court process. It's unreal. Like, it's actually really wild. Like pro se, you know what I mean? To do it pro se, and like it's
New
just so
jurist.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't like lawyers. I think getting a lawyer is like the worst thing that you could possibly do. To me, a lawyer is nothing more than an officer of the court, and anybody who puts their hands in the you give power of attorney to one of these, as far as I could tell, perverted criminals who are not interested in educating you whatsoever. I think it's a bad idea.
You know, although I will say it's like some people would hurt themselves if they did, like they would really hurt themselves if they didn't have some kind of help, like or whatever, like an attorney. Like there is some benefit to them in regards to a great swath of our population. There is some essentialness to it, and I'd hope attorneys do good, do right by their clients or whatever. But at the same time, like I just look at it like if we're going to accept personal responsibility, you take into account all this information And I think it's like I don't know, why wouldn't you want to know about how to preserve our freedom? That's how I've always looked at it. Like, why would we not want to know? I don't get it. It's one of the most crucial things you'd want to know is how to defend, let's say, I mean, shoot, if you're a Christian, how to defend your faith. Do you know what I mean? Like, in this secular system, like the civics of it. Like, it's a shame that so much of it's been like kind of the interest of it has been taken away, you know. But I think that's changing. I think it sucks that a lot of people go down the real hyper patriotic route of, you know, I don't know. There's like that sovereign route, and then there's like the I'm a citizen. Yeah, I don't even know. It's like there's such a poetic, beautiful system woven into our, like there's such a Christly ecclesiastical part of our system, and I just can't help but to see it.
I think at one time you might have been right, but since the creation of the Article 1 courts in 1871, I think we're under the Federal Reserve System now.
Right, but to me that just means that you're the priority security interest holder. So it's like they can't win in that regard. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones that are actually, they're just doing the accountant for a debt that's owed to every one of us. Like, I really believe that, in the sense that I have not found any other fucking excuse for the creation of money other than like birth certificates and their ability to print them based off of those numbers involved. That's really just how I see it. Except we're over here thinking we're fucking U.S. citizens. We're thinking we're a Toyota Corolla. When you have a Toyota Corolla, you have a citizen. You're not like, I am my Toyota Corolla. It's like that's how we deal with our corporate identity that we have, because we gave them a birth certificate, and that's what they gave us, so we could access the banking and the funds. It's literally to get funds from the bank. That's why they gave it to you, because you gave them a line of credit, and you're going to participate in the system. However, when it comes down to, we could discharge the debt. I mean, I just don't see any other way that it works. I mean, literally, you can't pay a debt with a debt. You can't pay the national debt with.
I've heard you and others say this stuff over and over again, and then there's always like this gatekeeper mentality. It's like, okay, show me how to discharge debt. Well, I can't discuss that privately. I can't discuss that publicly. It's like, oh, you can't? Oh, okay, well, thank you.
Well, like,
Thank you so much
Hank.
for telling me that you can't tell me the secret that you have.
Well, no, Hank. I've said. How many times have you heard me say this? If I write up on a piece of paper that I am going to bring you a banana on Tuesday, and if I don't bring you the banana on Tuesday, I owe you $1 million. Right now, Tuesday, you have that piece of paper with my signature on it, notarized. Now, Tuesday rolls around, and I don't bring you a banana. What's the piece of paper worth?
Where's the banana?
Yeah, I
It didn't
get you.
show.
The paper's
Don't worry, I ate it. How
paper's
about
worth
this? I
nothing
ate the
because the
fucking banana.
paper is debt.
Okay, hold on. How much is the piece of paper worth?
It's in your tailpipe.
Allegedly, $2 million.
Okay,
Bank notes.
hold on. See, this is why you're over here saying like there's some kind of gatekeeper shit, and I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm trying to explain it to you. This is it. It's the fact that you don't get it is not. I'm not gatekeeping anything. What I'm saying is, like, how much is the piece of paper worth?
$2 million.
No, it's worth the face value of the instrument, which is $1 million. So I didn't make the rules, right? But this is really how money works. So when the officer denied equal protection, due process of law, and the prosecutor failed to state a claim, failed to show otherwise, He may have accepted X, Y, and Z amount or whatever. You're creating the money through the obligation that they failed to do, that they owe you as a matter of fucking of the laws of the fucking land. Their failure to comply and their excuse for not responding also is not my problem. In fact, right now, and like Larry, we should get once in a time like this. I'd rather just talk privately about, but I have a little thing going,
You're talking about
against
the
an.
secure party.
I'm talking about the fact that not well, the secure there. Like when you say secured party, it has a lot of connotations because a lot of these people think you need to go file a UCC one and actually have like a status of being secured with with the UCC one to show it and a security agreement or some shit based off of a foreign trust, blah 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 blah, which is just bullshit. You don't need it. It already exists. The system's perfect.
Yeah, I get it. It's about how you present
Yeah,
yourself, right? You
right.
can present yourself as a United States citizen, or you can present yourself as a son of Adam. It's all about your capacity and how
Yo,
you
and your
present yourself.
decorum. And your decorum. Like all my paperwork. And dude, Larry, I beat a serious fucking charge, dude. And fucking and and it was I was even the judge was like, the UCC has no place in this courtroom. I got stifled on so much shit, right? But then I realized my remedy after I was found not guilty, right? My remedy is to now sue them. Because what I was trying to establish during the court procedure didn't necessarily apply, and they were correct. Now, I mean, I could have pressed the issue. I really could have pressed the issue, I believe, but I didn't. And I played the game and I learned another way. But my point is that my lawsuit could come after the fact because of their deprivation of rights under the color of law. That's where my lawsuit comes in. Now, I could discharge debt
1981.
using that
Sorry,
lawsuit. What's that?
1982. I get it.
What's that? And all I'm saying is,
1982.
tell me, I don't know. What do you mean? Like you're talking civil rights? Or
Civil
what do you mean?
rights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, civil
Yeah.
rights.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like, what I mean though is like, but yeah, and that's the violation, and the violation for that has penalties, etc. And if I've given them due notice, and I've sent it to them 3 times under notary seal, they were given fucking the evidence. They were given the opportunity to cure. They failed. They didn't bring me the banana. Therefore, the paperwork says the face value of the instrument. Therefore, it's worth the face value of the instrument. That I could take, go make a security. Well, it technically already is a security agreement. Then I would take that security agreement and I would file it at the county and get a UCC one, and then I would sue them. Or what I could even do is sell the UCC one and the interest of the debt to a collections agency. And it's the creation of money through obligation. It's wild, dude. It's not
Yeah, I get it.
gatekeeping. It's not.
You are a
Yeah.
banker. You are your own individual banker, but nobody tells you that. They think that, you know, creating money any kind of way is counterfeit when really that's the only way money is actually
You know
created,
why
and
they
there
can't
is
teach
no
you?
money.
You know why they can't teach you? Because of the religious ramifications and the fact that the church and state are separate. Your parents should have done it. My parents should have done it, but they didn't. That's why I said there's no excuses in this time because we live in the age of information. We're the generation that has the Library of Alexandria at our fingertips,
Well,
not them. So
I'm sorry,
we don't blame them.
98% aren't capable of finding it, and
And what
98% of the books aren't on the internet. So how am I supposed to find it if I've been looking ever since you first turned me on to looking at the law, and then the Bible nudged me further towards it? I still ain't figured it out, but I haven't been through any trials and tribulations. So is that the only way to figure it out? Is to actually be motivated enough to keep your ass out of the concentration camp?
I love what Gordon Hall said. He said, "Be careful when you pray for knowledge and understanding, because you might get a court case." You know, so like, because you might go and get some knowledge and some understanding through the fucking abrasiveness of the court system. But like, the prayer became, "Bless me with knowledge and understanding without jail time." But anyway, like, I just think like, I don't know, man. How did everyone learn about flat Earth, man? And it sucks that it's complicated. And I actually thought about like, imagine petitioning the government for a grant to teach civics and like teach this shit. How cool would it be if like all of us like got grants to like go to a
I don't think
schoolhouse?
that's a good idea at all. I
Why
think if you know this stuff,
why not?
You should be quiet about it because slave masters don't like it when you interfere with their slavery.
I mean, I agree, and that's why there's an element of people thinking about gatekeeping because they're not going to talk about it online. I mean, I've felt that way for a while, and you're right. You're actually right to call me. I know I've said that, but at the same time, like for instance, I wasn't going to try to teach like someone because like all crimes are commercial, right? You know what's that? 7211. Is that chapters? Is it?
USC,
No, it's CFR
CFR,
27.
sorry.
CFR 2772.11. All crimes are commercial. And
And some of
so
those crimes are like listed on there. You're like, really? Like this is like biblical. Like if I kidnap somebody, I owe you what, like 30 pieces of silver? What the hell is this shit?
you know, and then at the bottom of it, it says and marijuana. You're like, what? It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, it's all about the tax. But when you show up back in the 70s, when you showed up with the marijuana to get your tax stamp, which they said is required, then they arrest you for the marijuana possession. They're like, tax stamp? What are you talking about? You're under arrest. So it's all rigged, man.
Well, that's why I talk about the 70-year contracts. It's just what it was at the time. Like they took everybody's gold, you know?
No, they took every person's gold, and people weren't smart enough to realize that they were not a person. How could you be a persona? Why did you give up your gold? Our ancestors were tricked with word magic by lawyers who are nothing more than word nerds. And when every person, that meant every corporation, every trust. But I could not be a person. How could I be a person?
You see, but the thing is, it's like it's not a. I mean, I agree with your. I agree with it. It's like we have a person though. I mean, we could completely object to having a person even, but I don't think that's the right move either. I mean, I think like I think like people are getting too. We get too attached to the idea of like I remember when I first learned any of this shit, I was like, I wanted to get rid of my U.S. citizen kind of a thing. I wanted to da 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 da, and then once I realized, like, wait,
That's
that's
your
retarded.
monopoly piece. How are you going to play,
Exactly.
in
Exactly.
commerce if you get rid of your monopoly piece?
Exactly. That's why you got to learn to appreciate what it's like. Yo, dude, be ye not conformed to the world, but renewed by continual transformation of the mind to prove that what God has made is good. And He made this system. Like it or not, it's here. We got to deal with it. I don't know.
No, God did not make the Federal Reserve System. I disagree. He made the natural law that we all must follow, like you control that which you create. Well, Congress has the right to regulate commerce. And if they create courts specially for their commerce, they have the right to control it. The problem is that anybody who testifies, they swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And most people are not telling the whole truth. What is actually going on is all these half truths are running rampant, but nobody's willing to tell the whole truth.
Well,
I want
can
my
anyone
whole
tell the
truth. I want my pound of flesh. Go ahead, bro.
telling the whole truth is kind of an impossible task?
Is it if the lawyer knows that it's a commercial court and he's not going to tell you, and he's like
Mm.
taking like $30,000 from you, which for some people that's like a great chunk of their life, and he can't tell you like, oh, this is all commercial. Like, don't worry, the next court is what's important.
Yeah, I mean it's all the truth you have, Fundy. It's not all the truth that exists. I think it's more just all the truth you have for whatever the scenario playing out,
Sure,
like you're
sure.
saying.
No, yeah, I agree. I'm just being a stickler for wording.
Well, I mean,
I just got here. I don't even know what you
that's
guys are
where
talking about. My bad.
I get it. That's why, like,
Oh, you're good, bro. I don't mind
I
being challenged.
happen to think like the idea that you can't prove anything. You know what I mean? you can have evidence to lead people to suggest a certain thing, but like you can't actually prove anything. Even it's like it's wild. And I think like there's a certain, even if it's, I mean, I don't know. I just think that's what happens in court is that you wind up trying to they wind up trying to create evidence to get somebody to
Well, you
consider
know that
something.
you shouldn't participate in a public controversy. You know that you shouldn't even be in the courtroom other than to say, Your Honor, we already have an agreement.
Well, I'll tell you, as like and Larry, I got to tell you, I went through a whole trial and everything, man. As like the pro se attorney, and I was a witness, and you know what I mean, and I made my points, and they tried to poo poo my paperwork as hard as could be. Um, but I think even with that pro se system, there's still a lot of ways that one can dismantle claims and prove oneself to be, to the jury to be not guilty. So it's interesting. I don't know. I found it interesting as like in the capacity as the attorney, I couldn't bring up certain issues that I was like chomping at the bit to bring up, and they wouldn't let me bring it up. And I brought up one issue in particular, and objected to it, and the judge, had me like stop the line, what I was talking about in my opening, and I realized though it was crazy is that as I was on the witness stand as a witness, I started going and saying the same things that they had objected against me talking about, and the judge let me just carry on. So in the capacity as the attorney, I couldn't speak on certain things. As the capacity of the witness, I could introduce all the fucking shit they were trying to get me to stop talking about.
Well, that's because if you're the witness, how could they tell you what you can and can't? Only one with first-hand primary knowledge.
Yeah, just
I
word
mean,
to the wise. That was one of the things I learned is, you know what I mean, as the attorney, you can't say certain shit, but as a witness, you might be able to.
Law is just one of these most interesting concepts. I know a lot of truthers go hard on it, and I understand why. I I, I think that there's whatchamacallit. I think there's like 3 or 4 or 5 questions that every famous philosopher has at least uh give like is famous for giving their take on it, at least like the uh at least like the majority of. It's sort of like, what does it mean to live a good life? How would a perfect society be ran? And then obviously the other one's like, what happens after you die, and what are we here for, and like shit like that. But like, what does it mean to live a good life, and how should a perfect society be ran, especially when involving like a justice system? That's something a lot of famous philosophers are famous for putting their 2 cents in on. And law is obviously at the heart of of that of that question there. But I don't think that there's such thing as putting down a proper justice system on paper, because there's no way you can have like a one size fits all sort of standard to apply everything off of. And that is why I think that the whole jury system of, you know what I mean? Like we have some general guidelines that are obviously like dividing what's right and wrong in general terms, but then for the more nuanced rulings of how someone should be punished or let off or rewarded or whatever, how matters should be settled, I definitely do respect the whole process of involving a jury and, you know, hopefully, what do you call it? An unbiased judge or whatever. It's so hard to make that actually be the true situation, though.
you say unbiased judge, but I don't think such a thing actually exists. I've seen
Yeah,
court
yeah, that's
cases where the district attorney was like, "Oh, by the way, I don't want to allow him to argue that him filming in public was some sort of, constitutionally protected activity because of free speech. So we're not going to tolerate that in this court. And then the dude gets convicted. Like, what? Recording in public is not covered
Oh yeah,
by the
yeah, that's fucked
Constitution
up, man.
under the First
Yeah,
Amendment? It's like, bro, what the fuck? How did she even say that in open court? And the judge goes, excuse me, we're in America. Recording in public is perfectly legal. No, she's allowed to say that shit, and then he gets convicted.
right. Yeah, no, that's obviously like a huge fucking blunder. And it is true. Is there such thing as an unbiased judge? I don't think so. Right? Like you just said. I agree.
Yeah, this is
That's
documented for everybody to see at Liberty Troll Channel, right? And in the free state of Florida, nonetheless, where the Republicans are in control, they convict a journalist for recording in public. Of course, they didn't arrest him for recording in public. It was some sort of disorderly conduct or failure to, obey an unlawful order or something like that. And it's amazing to me. It's like, wait a minute, is this like North Korea, the state of Florida, where you arrest journalists?
that's almost where like some sort of AI judge might be welcomed by a lot of people. But of course, that comes with all the, you know, opportunities for programming to be involved as well, which is a slippery slope.
But the AI
Yeah.
judge is not going to go by the Constitution in the lower courts. This district court, like, it's literally ran by politicians. You ever notice when a judge ends up before Congress, and Congress is like talking mad shit to the judge, like, "You idiot, what are you doing?" But when there's like a Supreme Court justice, they're co-equal parts of government, so they talk to those judges with respect, right? Why is that?
You telling me?
It's because Article 1 judges work for Congress.
No, they don't.
It's their boss.
No, they don't. They're not part of the same branch of government. You're absolutely wrong.
Are you a Glober?
Why does it matter, Larry? You're wrong.
Okay, so can you tell me about the law that was passed in
No,
1871 where they created a
I-
court? How do you create a court? How does Congress create a court in the Act of 1871? How does that happen?
Article 1 Judge, AI overview of Google. An Article 1 judge is a federal judge who serves in a legislative court created by Congress. Article 1 judges are not subject to the same protection as Article 3 judges, such as life tenure and salary protection. So it does look like Article 1 was created by Congress according to Google.
It can create the the branch, but they don't control it. Federal judges are appointed for life, all of them, every single one. They all operate under the judicial authority of the United States. They are not part of the executive branch. They are not a part of the
It says the opposite of that.
legislative
A
branch.
judge who serves does not subject to the same protections as an Article 3 judge, such as life tenure and salary protection. So that life appointment that you just said is directly going in the face of what Google thinks.
I don't care what Google thinks. All federal judges are appointed for life. That's just fact. Every United States district judge and circuit court judge and Supreme Court judge are appointed for life. It can be removed for
We're talking about
cause,
district courts. We're talking about district court.
federal or state.
I asked directly, it says no, Article 1 judges do not have lifetime tenure. They are appointed by the president and
There's a
confirmed by the
reason
Senate,
why.
but their salaries can be reduced by Congress. Their salaries can be reduced by Congress and they can be fired. It says right
Yeah,
here.
I'm reading. Check it. I'm reading. Yes,
They're,
federal judges
they're,
are appointed for life.
they are.
Yeah,
They are.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about this
AI
shit,
can't
but
practice
like,
law for a reason.
have,
AI
ha,
can't practice law.
haven't there been enough? Like, I don't know anything about this legal court judge, stuff, but at this point, like, isn't it appropriate for me to lose all faith that the Constitution means anything nowadays? Like, aren't there
No,
It
enough
does in
examples
the
of
appellate
people?
court.
no.
Sorry, bro. The first court's a kangaroo court. Once you
Huh.
appeal and you make it to the appellate courts, they actually go by the Constitution and enforce it.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe the whole thing was like a made for television show, but just to humor it as something that really did happen legitimately in the United States justice system, didn't Alex Jones get fucking like sued for saying that Sandy Hook might have been a hoax?
Yeah, he did.
Alex Jones bowed down to the court.
I know.
Alex Jones, in and of itself, is a psyop.
It probably was some sort of, like I said, maybe it probably was some sort of made for television drama or whatever, but like, wasn't there like a clear example that the like freedom of speech doesn't exist? At least in any sort of like legal sense, it's actually entertained nowadays. Like, oh,
Did Alex
you
Jones
can get.
appeal?
I have no idea, man. I have no idea, but apparently got
I don't
sued
think he
for
did.
$4 billion
I think
or
he
some
did.
ridiculous.
Okay, but Alex Jones was sued in state court. He wasn't sued in federal court. So we're talking about a slightly different court system.
Sure, I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
Because
I'm just saying, can't they have their way with you legally if they want, because they have all the resources and you don't, and it doesn't matter how much you understand and obey the law and use it to, to your advantage. They still hold, like a gambling hall or a casino, like
no, but that's why we
the
have appellate
the
courts.
house always wins.
Hold on. That's why we have appellate courts. Because if you were done wrong, then you have recourse to show that there was a bias, or there was like you can. Those are where you can show that the procedure had a mistake, and that's what the appellate court is about. So like I mean I'm just a firm believer in the system in the sense, but I say it in a hopeful sense because it offers us all the same privilege. I really do believe that.
don't forget
Yeah,
something
but how
about
many
appellate
people know
courts.
to look? Sorry, how many people know to look to see if the court made a mistake or if there was a problem with the arrest warrant? Like most people
Every
just know to get a
website,
lawyer.
every website that I look up says Article 1 judges are not appointed for life. I've been looking through like
Okay.
3 different sources. Google says Article 1 judges are not appointed for life. So yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. Considering I've Googled the question generally and then specifically, and then looked through 3 resources, and they all have said that Article 1 judges are not appointed for life. I think I'm just gonna go with what's readily available on the internet over a random opinion on Discord.
Okay. Well, how about this? Find the name of one of those judges that you think aren't appointed for life.
Hold on. Well, hold on, brother.
Let's
So
look
check
them
it
up.
out. Hold on, real quick. He's right though, because it says yes. Article 1 judges. We're all actually right, depending on how we're asking the questions. I think. Yeah, so it says yes. Article judges are federal judges. Article 1 judges serve on federal courts that are created by Congress and authorized by the Article 1 of the Constitution. Explanation. Article 1 judges are not subject to the same protections as Article 3 judges, such as life tenure and salary protection. Article 1 judges can serve in a variety of roles, including administrative law judges, bankruptcy judges, and territorial court judges. It goes on. But yeah, so Article 1 judges are not subject to the same protections as the Article 3 judges. That is true.
Yeah, it literally says
It
Congress
sounds
can
like
reduce their salary if they want. So if you
it
talk
sounds like
shit to a congressman as an Article 1 judge, what if he just reduces your salary?
I think an Article One judge, if I'm not, an Article One judge, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's the judge that's appointed for a specific task. So you take a sitting judge or somebody else and you appoint them to some special court. But I don't see how you get in front of one of them. I mean, if you have a federal lawsuit and you go down to the courthouse, you file a federal lawsuit, that suit's going to be heard by a sitting judge in that district, and that judge that you're going to go in front of is a lifetime appointee.
Yeah. So I asked, what are Article 1 courts? This is Article 1 courts are also known as legislative courts, are federal courts established by Congress to review agency decisions and other matters. They're different from Article 3
Okay.
courts, which are established by Congress but are empowered by Article 3 of the Constitution.
Okay.
So I can see
Flavor
what you're saying
agency.
too. It's like specific legislative purposes. It's not maybe
Yeah.
something, you know.
So it would be a judge that's looking over an EPA decision or something like that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's like veterans' rights or something, or
Yeah,
veterans.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a special appointment for a specific. You and me aren't going in front of those kind of judges.
They're probably
Those are
legislative. Yeah, they're more on like
yes.
if you're writing like a new legislation, they're gonna double check, triple check, see if everything goes.
Oh, and
I
say
really
that
don't know the procedure though, so
say the EPA comes on. You have a business. The EPA comes on site and says you're violating the Clean Water Act. You say no, I'm not. They said, well, we're taking you to court. Okay, in that case, I think that's where you're going in front of an Article 1 judge. Because
okay,
because the EPA has a decision, and you're appealing that decision in front of a judge that's specified for like an EPA action. But if I'm suing you for breach of contract or something, that's just a regular district court Article 3. But and something to keep in mind about
no,
the appellate courts, I know we have the protection of appeal. Keep in mind, both in federal and state, you have a right to appeal. You have a right to file your case with the court. The court does not have to hear your arguments. You get to file your motions. But the court decides if they want oral argument or not. If they do not want oral argument, they can decide your case on the written motions alone. The evidence from
interesting,
the yeah.
interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I would dare say like I mean even like any court like they could file frivolous or they could see that it has no substance. Like that's
Yeah.
why I said though a lot of people try to mistakenly go to like appellate courts arguing something that, other than procedural defects. Like, and I think that's where like a lot of people waste like another crazy. And this is the kind of stuff that just like you're like Larry was saying, like we're not taught this stuff. Like this is why like I want to impart this stuff to people because we aren't taught this stuff, and it's a
Yeah.
shame.
Well,
It's a shame we
yeah.
don't appreciate it more. And like and the idea also like because I'm also like if you catch a like a lot of people don't know that if you were to get a contempt charge, you can't do anything until you purge that contempt. It's crazy. Like, you know what I mean? And like people are arguing, you could sit in jail for a year on a contempt charge. And if you didn't know and you didn't get a lawyer because somebody said getting a lawyer makes you retarded and you don't fucking know to purge the contempt, like, it's like you could really hurt yourself if you don't know some of this crazy shit. But like arguing about whether Article 1 and Article 3 courts and this isn't a fucking proper America because there's gold fringe on the flag, like that shit is retarded. Like there's a procedure that we have at access to that actually can help and work.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
thank
and
God for it. Thank God for it.
yeah, and something else to keep in mind. So state court judges generally are elected. The appellate court and the Supreme Court judges are appointed and confirmed, appointed by the governor, confirmed by the legislator. In some states, the appellate court judges are also elected, but they have terms, and 6-year terms, whatever it might be. And as those judges come off the bench, the decisions of the future Supreme Court can go against previous decisions. So if you see the makeup of the court changing, like the Supreme Court of Washington, for instance, and you see some liberal judges getting appointed, the conservative judges are retiring. If you have a test case, now it might be like hey, it's a different makeup. I think there's a majority that will favor me. I can bring a lawsuit that's plainly barred under a Washington precedent and take it to the trial judge. The trial judge will deny me. Take it to the appellate judge. The appellate court's going to deny me. Then go in front of the Supreme Court of that state and argue my case, and I might win because the makeup of the court has changed.
And I'm sorry, I got like busy over here and I didn't fucking hear the end of what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying that state courts are a dice roll, that the makeups of the court changes, and what may be law now could totally change in 10 years. We've seen that with the U.S. Supreme Court, is right as well, right? I mean, abortion was legal until it wasn't. That was the makeup of the court changing.
Didn't they just say that it wasn't constitutional or whatever for the U.S. government or whatever? Tell states what to do in that regard, as far as I remember.
Yeah, but previously they had said that it was basically a right, and the federal government had the power to tell the states. Now they've changed their mind and said that the federal government doesn't have the power to tell the states.
Yeah, man. I love that.
It's the makeup of the court. The court has a lot of conservative members, and that's unfortunately that's what happens.
We actually live in a really turbulent time for the courts because Chevron deference was just overturned. So all these court cases where they just deferred to the federal government and whatever agencies that they created, and they create their own crazy little laws like force reset triggers are now all of a sudden a machine gun. All that stuff is going to have to be redone. So the Supreme Court just ensured that they're going to be extremely busy for a very long time. And they're the arbiters of truth when it comes to the constitutionality of every single thing that's brought before them, and they decide what's brought before them and reject the rest.
Yeah, you hear about the boys deleting their fucking diesels because of the Chevron thing. Like because you can't really delete your fucking your truck with the EP, the emissions, but they're all like claiming the Chevron thing.
You know what they started doing in my city, Issa? They stopped doing inspections, but they still just charge an inspection tax.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Yeah, I know, right? Couldn't make it more blatantly obvious that they're just full of shit.
Well, it's better than having to go and get inspected, I guess, right?
I guess. And yeah, and it's only like $7, but it's still like, so you're gonna charge us for this service, quote unquote, that you aren't gonna provide any longer? Like, what?
Well, actually, I mean,
Blows my
it's better than having to go and get your car inspected on top of it, and have to pay, right?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's like,
But they're like, yeah,
man.
it's like
And
tolls,
that,
man. Tolls. Don't get me started on tolls, because like tolls aren't even supposed to fucking exist. And these bastards,
I know, right?
once they put them up, they just fucking never disappear, and you got to pay. Like, try driving around New Jersey and fucking New York without getting hit with like, if you don't have a fucking Easy Pass, like you get wrecked with like the bills in the mail from fucking Easy Pass. And then, dude, they just did a congestion tax in New York. Did you see that shit? It's $9
I
to
don't even
drive
know
through.
what that means.
Oh yeah, it's a fucking $9 charge to drive from like 59th Street down, downtown during certain hours, and it's like
Yeah, because
it's crazy.
they just want a 15-minute city over there. That's why. That's why they don't want you driving over there.
That's why they burned down L.A. too. Fucking hell, man, no doubt, no doubt.
Wild.
It's funny. I've told the story before. I went. There was like they were trying to put this building in the city, and I was like living in a building, and there's like an old lady and her nephew, who was a friend of mine, she played Madden and shit, and he lived in the building, and she was sick, and fucking nobody wanted this new building they were going to be putting up in around in in like in this, it was downtown in the village, and nobody wanted it, and so like they had a community meeting about it, and everybody from the building was going, and my friend was like, come down, and I was like, and I was like, all right, and so we go down there, and everybody's just sitting there complaining, about the building or whatever the fuck. And my buddy wanted to say something. And I was like, yo, ask him if he accepts full liability if your grandmother can't get to the hospital during construction. And fucking my friend was like, oh shit. So he stood up and he fucking was like, well, you said, who's going to accept full liability or liability, ask the question. And this guy, I'll never forget, his name was like Todd. And like, he was like, well, I'll take it. I'll take liability. And my friend like was just like stomped his feet because, it kind of was like the guy moved on to the next question. And he like kind of, my friend was really pissed off about like the interaction. So I put my hand up and I was like, it was great. I was just like, raised man, he called on me and I was like, Todd, I was like, first off, I just want to thank you for accepting full liability if the people in the building can't get to the fucking emergency room because the ambulances can't get in during destruction. And I looked over at the fucking lady from the Department of Transit and I was like, excuse me, ma'am. I was like, what's your name for the record? And she like stood up all proud. And she was like, oh, my name's so and so. And dude, I swear to God, I looked over and fucking like the board members that were there on their half just were like, fuck. Because now I just cited for the record at the town meeting that Todd had accepted liability and that you had a member of the Department of Transportation who signed off on it, watching it. And I just can't help but to feel that building was never created and the project stopped. That building was never made. And fucking, I always thought of that. Like, I wonder if that did anything. Like, I don't know. I always love that little story and the way that went down. I don't know why I told it or thought to, but whatever.
So I got pulled over a while back and not arrested, but I was going through, he like thought I was drinking, and I had like a little bit, but I wasn't too drunk at all. I wasn't even barely drunk. But like he said he smelled alcohol on me, so he put me through the tests, and like got frustrated because like you're gonna do this for as long as I say, blah blah blah. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do it for a set amount of time. Like that's how a test goes. You don't just get to arbitrarily say I'm gonna hold my leg up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, so do you accept full liability? And he's like, no, I don't. I'm like, all right, well, why not? Why don't you accept? And after that, they just wanted to leave. I don't know if it's what did it, but that after that question, they wanted to leave.
What would
When
he
was
would he
that? When
accept?
did that happen?
Would he
That was me
accept?
getting pulled over.
Okay, but why
When
would
was
he
that?
accept liability over what?
Over any consequences of anything. Like, just do you accept full reliability for all the actions you are performing right now? That was my question. Any
Like if,
action he performed, does he accept liability for it? And he said no. I was like, okay.
if you're standing on one foot because he ordered you to and you fell over, you're gonna hold him liable for you falling? I don't understand.
I didn't fall over. No, that's not what happened.
Okay.
That's some kind of non sequitur you're talking about there.
No,
No, just all the
I'm
actions
asking for an
performed up to
example of
that
what his
point. I
liability
asked
would
him,
be.
like, why does this matter? Like, all that
Well, no,
happened
you know
is
what?
it was just a funny story, and you're like losing your mind over it. What the hell?
Well,
No,
hold on.
I'm just
It's interesting. No, he's trying to nitpick it, and I tell you what. This is what I gather from it is the idea that if he was like operating on the presumption that he was drunk, when clearly he wasn't, and he started to behave completely sober, and he offered to take him to this drug test, and then he just said to him, "Hey, so long as you're ready to accept liability," it must have run around in his head.
I don't know what happened. I just know that we were going through the motions, and I'm like, I got frustrated that he wouldn't say 30 seconds. He wouldn't say 2 minutes. He wouldn't say 10 minutes. He wouldn't say anything. He's like, you're gonna do it till I say stop. And I guess it was a stubbornness battle in that moment. And I asked that question, and uh, he he ended up making me do it. But like, it was a very short test, and after that, he's like, all right, do you have anyone who can come pick you up? I'm gonna give you off with a warning, and you need someone else to drive the car home. And So I waited for my friend to get there, and he drove his car, I drove mine, and that was it.
But it ended well for you.
Yeah, it ended fine. Like nothing happened really. I had to go to court for he cited me for speeding or whatever. So like, you know how that goes. But yeah, it was an interesting thing. Like I don't know why. I don't know why they actually left, but it was weird how as soon as I asked that question, they were like just changed their tone and said
Sometimes
good
they
night.
just don't want to bother with certain, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You probably
Right.
don't
Yeah.
That's
want
the
to
whole,
do it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's how you do it too. It's like, that's it. Especially when you're sober and you're looking at them like, I don't know, man. Like, if you're going to give them a headache in a certain way and you're right, that's why the thing is, you got to be right about what you're doing, and that's
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
respect that, I think, because you're right. You're calling them out. And it's like, they don't have, like, it's why they have probable cause hearings. It's why people, you know what I mean? It's why lawyers usually go for that. Because it's usually probable cause was not met to some degree or couldn't have been if that person that was pulled over was a bit of a problem. Said, hey, yeah, you want to search my car so long as you could show me it's not a deprivation of rights. Well, if that's on the body cam footage, and then that's something a lawyer could work with. Because what was the probable cause? And then, well, what? You know what I mean? The guy didn't give consent. You took it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's interesting, and they don't want, like you said, they don't. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. And
They
especially
want
when you're polite.
everybody to bend over.
Especially when you're polite, though. Like, I've always been super polite. I mean, dude, I literally got pulled over, had a joint burning in my ashtray, and the fucking smoke is wafting into the fucking cop's face. And he goes, it smells like marijuana. I was like, well, how do you know they're not smoking pot over there? And we both looked. It was hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, I've had so many interactions with the fucking police in my life. It's
That's
insane.
so funny, dude. Did that really happen?
Oh yeah, dude. I went, and that was when I was just learning my shit too. I went, did 3 days in the fucking hole, and that's a whole nother story, bro. But like,
Okay, so
but
he still got you, but like
oh yeah, they got well, dude. That's what, and check it. Oh boy, did I learn a lot that trip. But I fucking learned a lot so much that I tell you what, literally, I was pulling up same fucking state, and they fucking pulled me over, and I, did my little thing, and they ended up shaking. They brought a dog, went around my car for a second, and I thought, I just we had a whole interaction about it was a deprivation of rights under the color of law, and I think I've told that story before 100 times, but they let me go and just gave me a handshake, and it was all good. And I had like a joint in my pocket and a fucking ounce in the trunk, and I was just still on, just doing my thing. But they didn't search my vehicle, and if I said if you want to, you agree to fucking deprivation of rights under the color of law. For making an emergency stop without probable cause of a crime having been committed. And the guy goes, "Well, you were speeding," and I was like, "Well, what do you mean? Are you telling me that one of the honorable judges in this county doesn't know the difference between a crime and an infraction?" And I think that's what kind of shook him. And I was like, "You got that dash cam running? Because I might need that." And I
mm,
was just like, and I even, like at that occasion, it was interesting because I had all this fucking MMA and gi and a bunch of jujitsu shit. And like, we were standing at the back of the car and I was like, gentlemen, I was like, I could like, I can't physically, like, I'm not allowed to physically fight you. You know what I mean? To not do this to me. I was like, but you understand that the courts in return have allowed me to sue you. So I was like, so if you want to search this vehicle, let the record show you agree to a $10,000 penalty and I can file a UCC one in the counties where you live in. Agreed? And they're like,
You
oh,
don't have to
God.
agree to anything you say. You
Of
realize
course
that.
they don't have to. No, they don't have to agree, but they're also not going to just. But you would agree they're not just going to search your vehicle without going and getting a warrant first. If they,
I,
you know what I mean?
I
They're not
agree
just.
Did you
absolutely,
tell
but
him?
they have to have probable
Did you
cause.
tell? Did you tell him that you were gonna charge him like
No,
so much per
no,
hour?
no,
Dude,
no,
there's
no,
people
no.
that are like, I demand I'm gonna
I
charge you
know, I know, I
I can
know.
ask for it in silver and all this bullshit. I'm like, dude, you don't need to
Right?
get all cocky
Yeah, yeah.
about it. Like,
No,
jeez,
that's all
I'm
retarded
gonna
shit anyway.
you gotta
But
pay
like,
me in
None of that's
copper. In
enforceable.
copper. I want
yeah,
it
that's
all in
not the way to
copper.
do it. Here, I
yeah,
think
no,
we all agree
that's
on
Hilarious.
that.
yeah, no, that's some bullshit. But you do have like my point is though, is that like
Oh bullshit.
I can well, it's like I mean that's like there's a
If
real
you
way to do it.
if they agree with it, if they agree with it if they agree that your time is worth 5,000 an hour, and then they pull over and waste your time,
Why
they
would
have
they
to
do
pay you
that though?
5,000 an hour.
No, but then you got
Why
like
would they agree?
They do. People have done it before, and then they put your name on a. See, the cops have a computer in their car, and it says, "Don't pull this license plate over, no matter what." There's people with like, what is it?
I don't believe a word of it.
Diplomatic immunity. The same thing. The people who've like trademarked their name and stuff and say it's worth this much to use or whatever. They put all that in the system, dude, and they avoid you like the plague. You just have to have a prior contract with the actual police agency or whatever under the state. You get a contract with them saying this is how much my
You got
time
to
is
put
worth.
them
If
on
you
notice.
trademark, yes, you give them a notice, and if they accept, which being silent is acceptance. So if you send that to
No, it's
them and they
not.
don't
No, it's not.
respond with anything, then
Oh,
Silence
they're
is not
fucked.
acceptance.
I,
Silence is
I don't
not
know if I'd do
acceptance.
that. Yeah,
It's
You,
acquiescence.
you
States
don't create an
contract silence
obligation out of thin air.
acceptance, and yeah, it is. If they don't
No, it's
certain
not.
respond, then
states and certain counties are seem to be better for it. Like I know somebody that knows like three people that do it in Olympia, like in Washington. So if you're like in a kind of a liberal place, it seems like it goes better for you. Like I know areas where that shit's just not gonna fly. They'll just freaking they'll just make up some shit, pull you out, be like,
Bro, even the
yeah, we lost
mob
the
does this,
footage.
bro.
We lost
Even
the
the mob
footage
does this, bro.
and
The
uh,
fucking mafia does this, bro. They have their mafia ass names and licenses in the thing, and the cops don't even pull over the mob, bro. Criminals know how
well,
to
they
do
might
this
have some
shit.
other deals with
Sure.
them, but that's wild, isn't it? People say terrorists do it. People say illegals do it now. And I'm just like, what? That
yeah,
is
no. Well,
freaking
real
holy
quick,
Dude, the
before
mob literally has agreements with police, like whatever's, where they don't get pulled over. This is like a known thing.
right, but it's got nothing to do with like being a sovereign fucking whatever the fuck. Because I personally don't think so. I think it's more based on real, like like I said, it's like practical understanding of the law, and there's also just ways to implement practical. There's a way to talk about your rights without sounding like a lawyer either. Like, there's ways to ask questions or the right questions and establish stuff. But a lot of people, what they'll do is if they can maintain a certain element of their rights on the road, then their attorney can use that and to their defense in certain ways. I think is what a lot of people do. But
It's a very good point. It's a,
but like,
you know,
yeah, I just what I mean. Like people are learn how to be tight lipped and ask for an
yeah.
attorney, and that's what they learn how to do. And the attorney knows what to do when he gets there, and that's why good lawyers are paid a lot of money. But at the same stroke, I'm just saying, it's those of us who are interested in preserving our rights by ourselves, like these are matters of the limitations of what a law officer can do, which if we're not aware of, or if we're aware of, it can help us.
Assert your right and remain silent. It's like what that one comedian said. I had the right to remain silent, but not the ability.
Yeah, and you have the right to contract unlimited. And if you have a contract with the police officer that says if you pull me over, you owe me 10K, and they are in the contract, then they're fucked. And then they put your name in the
Where's this
system. Then
contract
they put
coming
their
from?
name from you. You write it out. They put your
You
name in
write
the
it out in what,
system,
hand
and they
tools?
never fuck with you again. Just like they do with
No.
the mob, or they let the mob do whatever they want.
Okay, so you write out a contract, right? You hand it over to them when they pull you over. I don't understand.
No, this is done way before you get pulled over. This is you make an
Okay,
agreement with them before you get pulled over. If you're
okay,
pulled over and you don't have, no, you're fucked. Yeah.
okay. So who's your agreement with?
Um, the uh, the corporation,
Which corporation?
LAPD, whatever.
Okay, but what if you get pulled over in San Diego? Then does it apply?
Then yeah, you don't. It does not apply. You don't have a contract with them.
So is the contract with the
Dude, I'm
policing
telling you, the
agency that you
mob
have to get
literally
pulled over?
has civil contracts with the police departments that are like legally written out, and the police departments don't fuck with them because they'll get charged by a lawyer money for fucking with
I,
mobsters.
you name a case where that happened? You cite a case where they pulled over a mobster
That
who
would
had a
not be a case.
contract?
That would not be a case in a courtroom. What are you fucking talking about?
Yep, I know this is all make believe shit, so that's okay.
All right, man. Whatever.
It's laughable, is what it is.
That's
If
just a
I have a
shitty.
contract,
Literally
I
just
have
your
a
opinion.
I
It
have
literally
I
means
have,
nothing.
I have a
You
contract
just
with my
saying
local
that's
police
stupid
department so
literally
that they
means
won't pull me
nothing.
over.
Yeah, actually, yeah. They're I'm telling you, do you know why they have a computer in the
Legal
cop
contract.
car? Do you know why they have a computer in the cop car? It's so they can scan your license and see, should we pull over this motherfucker? And if it comes up in the system, do not pull over, they will not pull you over. This is why heads of state, when they come over to America, don't get pulled over. All kinds of people know about this. Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's not like a thing.
Do you know you cannot have a contract for something that is not lawful? And what you're talking about is not lawful. That contract wouldn't be
Okay, that's
enforceable.
just you just pulled that out of your ass.
It's black letter law. Contract has to
No,
be
no,
for
no.
a
The
legal
part where it's
purpose.
not lawful, you pulled it out of your ass.
Then cite the law where it's lawful.
I think you're
You
the
just
one making the
asserted that
claim
you
it's
just
not
asserted making
lawful.
you just
So I
asserted
think it's
making
your
contracts with
burden.
people as yeah, you just asserted making contracts with people is not lawful, but that's
I I
like half of
asserted
the half
making a
of the law.
contract with the police department that they can't lawfully pull you over would not be a lawful contract because it's
Well, they do
exempting
it.
you from the law.
People do it all the time. Especially people from other countries, actually. Rich, smart people from other countries and gangsters in America are the main people who do this type of thing.
And yet you can't name one case where this has happened. You can't name
Yeah,
one. Well, you
well, the
can't
thing is, if
put this
even if
on the
I bring it
contract.
to, even if I go and spend the next 3 hours of my time for you, and I bring you the case, you're
Oh,
still just
I
gonna
will
spit in my
read it.
face.
If you bring me the case, I will look it up and read it. Absolutely. Black letter law. Contracts have to be for lawful purpose. You can't have a contract that says I break the law and you can't touch me.
That's not what it says. It says if you pull me over, then you're fucked. And that's literally when is the last time someone with diplomatic immunity came to the US and got pulled over?
That's different. That's different.
No,
That's
no, it's
different.
the same system. In
No,
the
no,
cop car, in
it's
the cop
different.
car, in the cop car, they scan your license, dude. And there's people in the system, in that cop car system, that it says do not pull over, do not fuck with under any circumstance whatsoever. Don't do anything, avoid them. To get in that
Diplomatic
system, these
immunity
types
is
of
not the
people
same
have
as
yeah, to get in that system, these
mob
types of people
getting
have a
pulled back.
relationship and a contract with the actual local police enforcement. So, I mean, this is a thing. People do this all the time.
You can't name one example where there's a contract, where there's a case that someone got pulled over by mistake and took it to court, right? You can't name one time this happened, but that's okay. It's out there.
Okay, you want a case. So you're saying if someone went to court, settled outside of court, there would be no case. So why would I provide you a case for that? You understand
Anything.
it's only a case if someone disagrees with someone else. That's what a case is for. The judge has to judge the thing. But if it's very clear there is no case.
Okay. Yeah. So this thing exists, but it's never actually been like challenged or by anybody. Every police officer just goes along with it. No one, hey, I'm pissed off at this guy. I'm going to pull him over anyways.
Don't you think if this wasn't a thing, they would just harass and pull over mobsters every day until they fucking killed themselves?
They have to have reason to pull him over. It's harassment.
Right.
A mobster would ever go to jail with this
You
contract that
really
you're
think
talking
that they
about.
look up they don't look up your license plate before they pull you over? They
I'm
don't have a
sure they
system
do.
that says they don't have a system that literally says green light, pull over, red light, do not pull this guy over for any reason. You really don't think that's the thing? You really don't have
I,
any
I,
friends who are cops?
I have friends that are cops.
Okay, so you know that they
And
have a system that tells them if they can pull the guy over or not when they run the license, correct?
they have a system that tells you if the plate is, if the car isn't inspected, registered, insured. The drivers that
That's
owns
not
the car that
all.
doesn't
You're
have a license.
stuttering because you're lying.
No, I'm not
You
lying,
know that
dude.
there's more in that system than just
Nah,
if you're registered and have your
yeah,
safety
but
There's
done.
no part of the
that's
system that says this guy's a mobster. He's paying us off. Don't pull him over.
It's not paying them off. They have agreements. They can't
Yes.
directly pay fucking cops off. That's yeah.
Where are these agreements filed? Who writes them? Who files them? You show me one? Oh no.
Yeah,
Eventually,
there is they do exist, man.
show me one.
Okay. Do I really have to go out and do work for you when I'm saying, "Hey, there's information here," and you're saying, "No,
Here's
there's
the
not."
thing.
I'm not going to
Here's the thing.
invest more into you. Why would I
Well,
invest more into you, bro? Why would I take time out
prove
of
your
my day
point.
to invest into you? It's like if I walked up to you and you punched me in the face and then I tried to
Dude,
give you more money.
I don't
It's
know.
this doesn't make any sense, bro.
I guess I'm different. If I'm making a point, I'll back it up. You're making a point, you're not going to back it up.
Dude, your point
So
was literally that's unlawful, which you pulled out of your ass and had no
it
fucking
is
reason to say.
unlawful. Do you know anything about contracts? You know anything about contracts? Black letter law for contracts. Get a Black's Law dictionary.
Oh,
Contract
this
has
guy's
to be.
telling me to get a Black's Law dictionary. That's funny.
Contract has to be
That's
for a legal
hilarious.
purpose.
Get a
You're saying
Black's
a
Law
contract can be
dictionary.
for illegal. Why do you have a Black's Law?
Me on my computer, I do. Yeah, I think it's an eighth
Okay,
edition.
look up contracts. They can tell you contracts have to be lawful.
Yeah, there's nothing not lawful about telling the police enforcement what to fucking do.
It's extremely unlawful telling them that they cannot enforce the law on a certain class of people because they're mobsters.
Well, welcome to the U.S.
yeah. Steel City knows a lot about the law, though, brother. I will say that. Like I don't know about that one with the mob agreements, man. Or the diplomatic. I mean, maybe diplomatic immunity if someone's actually from a different country, et
Absolutely
cetera. But
diplomatic, yeah.
yeah, you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean.
mean,
But
but
like,
that's a different category, right? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
But no, but
if you're not a
these
U.S.
sovereign
citizen, you're
guys,
technically a
these sovereign,
foreign.
right. These sovereign dudes think that they're like just to have a national citizenship doesn't make one a sovereign. Neither does it give anybody diplomatic immunity. But people trying to get rid of their citizen or change it in some sense think that they've created and established like the fact that they have diplomatic immunity, which I just maybe because they moved their address to the Bahamas or something, or you know what I mean? Like they are attempting to get diplomatic immunity, but I just don't think any of that really applies, especially in what people already have at their general
Well,
accessibility.
how
I
can a
don't.
U.S. corporation with jurisdiction over U.S. citizens enforce itself upon not a U.S. citizen?
it has jurisdiction over a certain a certain area, and that is enforceable against anybody, whether they're citizens or not.
Well, see here also too. It's like I think our country is more savvy to the idea that you have a citizen and that you're not a citizen. I really do think they understand that tenet more than anyone else because they just look at it like, do you have a citizen? Like, did you pay these bills? Did you get these things taken? And if you are a U.S. citizen, where's your license? Where's your insurance? Because you're obligated to get this, or you know what I mean? Because you're a citizen, you're obligated to the certain set of laws. This is why I'm so fascinated with Trump because I think we have so much bureaucratic laws that it really stifles what America could be. Which you know what I mean? The less government, the better. I think is better, and I think that's our dilemma, not so much the system, but the fact that there's so much bureaucracy going on. You know, like that's the issue, not the fact that we don't want to participate in the system. Because that's really the thing is like, I've come to accept that I want to participate in the system. I want my citizen to be active in the world. You know what I mean? And it's a vehicle to do it. And instead of looking at it as this evil, demonic, Saturnalian cult that's given us this evil, demonic devil system. I think there's more to it than that. But I don't think it's also as easy as just filing a couple of papers to DC with a fucking seal on it. That's gonna get you diplomatic immunity and your name in a fucking computer at the fucking police station. You know what I mean? Other than for being a fucking sovereign citizen.
Well, here's the
It
thing.
quite
So
literally is. All you need is a piece of paper and a pen.
if you're driving down the road in, let's say, the city of Phoenix, the city of Phoenix can pull over any car, regardless of what citizenship that driver has. If that car is violating a traffic law, they can pull you over, and they now have jurisdiction. Now, if you're a diplomat, then they're going to give you a courtesy and send you on your way. But if you're a citizen of
Dude, they won't
Mexico,
even
you're
pull you over. They'll just scan your license and not fuck with you. They will not, it won't even come to the point of them pulling you over. You will already be in their system before you get and will not get pulled over.
they can pull you over if you're speeding and tell you to slow down, but they can't enforce you know, they can write the ticket, but the driver can totally ignore it. That's just, but they can pull you over. But the point is, a citizen of wherever, if you're a citizen of Italy and you're in the United States and you're driving on our roads, the police can pull you over and enforce U.S. traffic laws. It isn't a traffic
And
law
like,
that's
yeah,
only for citizens.
and if you go to Italy, they'll send you the bill too if you violate
Yeah,
some traffic laws in Italy or whatever.
exactly.
But also too, like uh I've had like the crazy just to go down crazy street and let's explore these crazy ideas. Like I've thought how interesting it might be, and I've heard this kind of as a remedy for outside of going to the DMV. But this is why they have the DMV to simplify these matters. Is like, let's say you're living in a certain area and you work in this area, and there's a couple towns in between. If you were to write, like, let's say you really like took a car that was never actually registered with the state ever, like, you know what I mean, almost like a homemade vehicle, or I don't know, like something without a VIN number, but completely roadworthy. Um, and you were to write a letter to all the local police enforcement area, police officer stations and the state police, and you would notify the like write a letter to the governor and the fucking state, like write a letter to all the institutions that would matter, that would be applicable, and even like the DMV, like notify them, like, you know what I mean, and have registered receipt of mail that you sent the documents and you haven't received a respond, and you had all this fucking paperwork in your car all the time, and in that paperwork it said, hey, I live at this address. So this is the fuck. You know what I mean? I stay over here. I'm gonna be, what do you call it? I'm gonna be in my vehicle traveling from this spot to this spot. If there's any problem and I can't do it, please let me know and respond under notary seal, or else it's agreed that you agree that I can drive in these roads, or travel on these roads, and you use all the language, but like travel on these roads from place to place without, unencumbered and free of like anything, so long as I maintain all the rules of the road. Do you know what I mean? And I'm willing to pay tickets if I violate speeding laws. And you know what I mean? Like that kind of a thing. And you were to establish these like record agreements, and you were to get pulled